everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Mandala Effect. I am thrilled to be back after a week off. I didn't record a podcast last week, and I went away with my boyfriend, and normally I would record one wherever I am, and I had to take a step back, and I had to take a break, and I had to just have some time to be in the peace, in the wildflowers, in the where I was in my mind, in my body, in my state of being, but also where I was in nature, in this time in my life. I had to take a moment to just stop and reassess a few things. Some of those things being reconnecting with why I do this podcast every week. I haven't missed a week for a year now, and I'm so committed to bringing content that's going to help you create an incredible life for yourself, however that looks for you. I'm very committed to doing that because I've been very committed to doing that for myself over the last however many years, and I know how important it is that we live in a world that can be quite chaotic and full of pressure and lots going on all of the time, and we have to be a certain way, do certain things, show up in a certain manner. And sometimes it can be really hard, and we just need a reminder that it's okay to be happy. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel however you are as a human. And something that I've experienced recently is a lot of pressure to be the perfect spiritual person without and constantly working on myself, constantly being this, constantly kind of improving myself, which is one of the more negative sides of personal development, is that you fall into a trap of constantly trying to better yourself and not being okay and in love with exactly who you are in that moment. So it's just been really important for me to come back to that, and that's what this week's episode is going to be about, because I'm in a launch. I don't even know what it means to be in a launch, but I've created a group coaching program called Wealthy, Wild and Free, and it's like one of the things that I have created that I am so passionate about because of why I've created it and where I've come from, and the reasoning behind creating a course to help people with money and with their spiritual journey, because I have been there. And again, coming back to understanding how important it is that we do the little things every day to help us better our lives and make our lives slightly easier when we're faced with whatever shit life is going to bring us, because it does bring us challenges and it does bring us shit, and we have all the tools and the capabilities to deal with them, but we also have an external reality that makes the challenges appear so much more frightening, and we have programming within us that makes the world appear much more scary than it actually is. So this is like this program that I've created. It's like, I feel like it's my baby and a gift that I have created to bring into the world to help people with their money shit, with their money story, change their relationship to money, and step into this wealthy, wild and free version of who you are, because we and what I'm going to talk about today is what it means to be wealthy, wild and free. And I guess I'll probably go into my story. I don't know. I don't really know where this is going to go as usual, but we'll figure it out as we go along. So to be wealthy, wild and free means to know who you are and to show up as who you are in every moment that you can, but not who you are, who you think you need to present to the world, who you are as your true self, who you are when you are in your power. And it's a remembrance, it's a connection to your heart, it's a connection to your power, it's an understanding that you are not the unworthy, afraid being that is projected back to you by the world, because we are programmed to believe in lack. We are programmed to believe that there is not enough to go around. We are programmed to believe that we are not enough and that we are not deserving. We are programmed to believe that we must always improve ourselves. And do that by wearing the latest lipstick or buying the latest trend or dressing a certain way and being like this influencer. And, you know, are your teeth completely white? Does your body look like this? Like, in every instance, in like, we're bombarded with messaging that tells us that we're not enough. We're bombarded with messaging that says there is not enough, and this is not the truth. So, and when a person really knows who they are, when a person is really connected to themselves, they understand that there is a power within them will that can completely change their lives if they are ready for it and if they want to, but understanding that they are enough just as they are. And it is, and showing up as that every day, unapologetically yourself. I've recently reached out to some incredible women to be guests on the podcast, after myself forgetting who I am a little bit. And I've reached out to women who are showing up every day unapologetically as themselves, and and inspiring the world in doing that. Because and I go into this in the course, I go into this in my private coaching, but it's this: we all have a shadow. We all have a part of ourselves that we have unconsciously rejected and pushed into our shadow, the personality traits that we didn't think it was safe to embody as our ego was developing. So generally through our younger years, as our ego is developing, we push away certain personality traits into our shadow that we don't think are safe for us to express. So we have that includes dark, like I say, dark and light. I don't mean good and bad, there's no judgment on them, but darker ones like anger and fear, or anger that, if you know, an angry person might trigger us. Well, we all have anger in us. We all have the capacity to be angry, and we need to be angry. Angry is a good trait to have. It means that we know our boundaries. So anger can keep us safe, but we repress anger because we're told that anger is bad and we're bad if we are angry. So then anger often gets repressed and pushed into your shadow. But then on the flip side of that, we have a golden shadow. So we have parts of ourselves that we didn't think was safe for us to have as a child because it would make us stand out. So potentially being an extremely talented singer, or being very beautiful dancer, and believing in ourselves. So as you know, as children, we believe that we can be anything, and then that's slowly smacked out of us by society as we grow up. So we don't think it's safe to believe that we can become a superhero. We don't think it's safe to believe that we can become a pop star, or, you know, move the world with our music. We don't think that's safe. So we then push that into what's called our golden shadow. And it so the people that we admire are reflecting parts of ourselves. And so for me, what I'm seeing at the moment is women who are unapologetically themselves. They wear what they want, they express how they want, they express their truth. And I'm not going to lie, some of these women trigger me and annoy me. And I'm just seeing a part of myself. I'm like, oh, hold on, she's just expressing herself as her full self. Like, amazing. And some of these women I really admire because of what they're building, what they're creating, and a lot of them are helping women other women and people in the world in the way that I aspire to as well. So So I have reached out to a lot of people who I see expressing a full, powerful version of themselves and inspiring others to do so, because that to me is what it means to be wealthy, wild and free, is that you are not afraid to show up every day as who you truly are in your heart, in your core, and sometimes it can be scary. So I'm going to use my outfit as an example because it's so cute and I love this little top. And sorry for anyone on the podcast listening, I'm wearing a new outfit and it's very cute. It's also very, very booby. But I feel so feminine. I feel like really, I don't know, I feel beautiful in it. So I thought, well, I'm going to wear it. I'm going to express this part of me. I love fashion. I love clothes. I love to be able to express some creativity in how I look every day. And I briefly mentioned that I've forgotten myself recently, and I've been through the last 2 years of my life have been extremely difficult. Last week was my 2-year anniversary of the diagnosis day that I was diagnosed with triple negative breast cancer. And I always celebrate this day because I believe that it was the start of my new beginning. I knew that day that I was going to overcome something fucking huge, and I, and I turned into an Amazon. I turned into a warrior that day, and so, or I didn't. I already was the Amazon, but I was able to express her, and so I always celebrate that day. I say always. It's only been 2 years. I've celebrated that day twice because it really marks a new step in my journey. But what I've recognised is that over the last 2 years, I have forgotten a bit of my power. I understand that I healed that cancer. I understand that I have overcome things that people in a graceful way that most people will never probably have to face, but may or may not be able to face in the same strength that I did. And so yes, I've done that, and now I am going. But what has happened in the process of me doing that is that I have pushed things away that I've become afraid of, and rejected them. I've suppressed them, and part of this has been my power. Part of this has been remembering really, really who I am. Over the last 2 years, I've carried on watching parts of my life fall away and things in my life changing, and the person that I had created before fall away, and it's been really, really painful, and so it's filled me with a lot of fear. And I realized that I've actually spent a lot of especially the last 6 months actually, in some form of survival mode, because the company that I built previously no longer exists. It 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 didn't work out, and I've felt a lot of shame around that, and so I've sort of hidden parts of myself a little bit because of this, and it's been a whole grieving process, and it's not that it didn't work out, it's that I had to keep on moving on and becoming who I truly am, and that wasn't who I truly was anymore. So it's like there's an end of the chapter and the beginning of a new chapter, but that beginning of the new chapter is stepping into my power again, and a new form of power, because it's built on a stronger foundation than what it was before, because it's built on my true self. It's built from a space of the true self having recognized and done some of my shadow work. I don't know if the shadow work ever really ends, but then creating from a place of more wholeness and more power from my soul, power from my heart. And so this is where Wealthy, Wild and Free has been born from, because a person who is fully in their power understands that they are wealthy is a little bit wild and embraces freedom, because this is the total opposite of what you're programmed to be, and it's the total opposite of what I have been programmed to be. A lot of my programming is, yes, work your way to be successful, but you're going to have to work fucking hard to get there, and not that wealth is actually just who you are. You just are you can be wealthy if you choose to be. It's always been programmed into me that you're going to have to work extremely long hours, you're going to have to make lots of sacrifices, and but then there's kind of been the opposite programming within me as well that says, well, the only way you're going to be happy is by spending money. So I have recognized that how most of the world, I see people with a lot of money, a lot of my clients have money, but they still believe in lack. They still feel lack. They still are not believing that they are the wealth. They are the source of wealth. We live in an extremely abundant, infinitely abundant universe, but again, the programming is the opposite. So we're not programmed to be wealthy. We're programmed to live in a poverty mindset, no matter how much money you have. And the only way that you're ever going to be truly free is by understanding your programming, your conditioning, and changing it, and integrating your shadow, especially your money shadow, and using money as the neutral tool that it is to help you live an incredible life. Now, so to be wealthy is to understand that you are one with everything, and that you are the infinite abundance that you are seeking. You already are that. And then it also has a practical side to be wealthy, because you have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility for the situation you're in, for your money situation, for how you look after your money, for your relationship with money, for changing your life. You have to take responsibility for who you are and for who you're showing up as. You have to take, you can't keep giving responsibility away to the economy. Oh, the economy's shit, so I've got no business. No, that's not true. Your mind is creating your reality. So you get to change. You change how you think, you change your mind, you change your internal world, you will see your external world change. I've seen this myself over the last 2 years in such a way that I believed it before, but now it's like I'm seeing my mind reflected back to me in ways that I could not imagine. Before I had, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. Some of it you wouldn't even believe me. So you have to take responsibility. So being wealthy is, yes, believing in the energy, and that you are connected to the all that is, and that you are one with the infinite abundance of consciousness, but it's also taking responsibility for the fact that we're human and we live in a 3D reality. And how do you look after your money? How do you spend your money? How do you receive your money? So there's a huge, being wealthy is so many things, and it isn't just about money. It's not just about status, which is what society tells you being wealthy is, that it's about status and having the things, which is what I used to think. And for me, it was the Chanel handbag. I talk about this a lot. It's this symbol of me being successful, and I was not going to stop until I got the Chanel handbag. So, and if I didn't have the Chanel handbag, then I wasn't successful, because I didn't look like the other women that had Chanel handbags that I thought were successful, not realizing that not understanding that success isn't a material possession. So their wealth is not just about the status. It's about love. It's about understanding love, and understanding that you are love, and acting from a place of love within your life. So wealth is so many things, and to be wealthy for me is to be in your power. The short version. I probably could have covered 20 minutes in that one sentence. And then to be wild, it really takes a wild person to want to do this, to want to take responsibility, to want to make change in their life, to want to go against the status quo. It takes a wild person to stand in their power. It takes a wild person to want to inspire others to do the same. It takes a wild person to want to have a lot of money. It takes a wild person to want to help people. It takes a wild person to really step into their soul and get to know their soul and get to know the connection with the universe. Being wild takes courage. And then embracing freedom, wealthy, wild, and free. So to be free is to be free from everything. It's to be free from the illusion of fear. It's to be free from the illusion of suffering. It's to be free from your mind and your ego, from being controlled by your ego and your ego's beliefs in lack and scarcity and fear. It's to be free from the attachment to having to work hard to make money, to be free from your programmings, your conditionings. It's to be free to live life how you want and how your soul came here to live it. It's to be free from feeling like you need to have a lot of money to be financially free. And being financially free is actually knowing that you're wealthy anyway, knowing that you are abundant, but having no attachment to money. Because the second you're attached to money, you're in bondage. The second you're in bondage to money and you're not free, because every waking moment is spent thinking about money, worrying about money. How do I earn my money? You know, that idea of more because you don't feel like you're enough. That is not freedom. Having a fuckload of money sat in your bank account and then still like being like attached to it and believing that that is your worth, that is not freedom. Freedom comes from being you unapologetically and living your life unapologetically and having a fuckload of money unapologetically and being able to give that money away unapologetically. Like, freedom is just being who you are. It's all the same thing. We are all wealthy, wild, and free in our core, in our hearts, in our souls, but the programming, the conditioning has told us otherwise. And I have seen from my life, from my programming and conditioning, and from how my external circumstances have looked, from cancer, from a business that broke down, from relationships that broke down, from whole areas of my life. I can see my programming and how it's made me be anything but wealthy, wild, and free. And now I am ready to step into my wealthy, wild, and free side. I'm ready to step into my power. I'm ready to show my true self and to be her and become her and remember who the fuck I am. And that's what I want to do with this course, and that's what I am doing with this group program. And every client that I work with, this is what I do. It is my passion to see everybody that I work with, everybody who I come into contact with, my friends, my family, be their true selves, be the powerful version of themselves. And I might annoy people a little bit by pushing a little bit too hard, and I'm trying to let that go. But it is there is just so much to life that we aren't experiencing because we're afraid to. But what if you let go of the fear? What if you let go of the fear of being wealthy? Most people aren't afraid of failure and having no money. They're afraid of success and having lots of money, because with that comes responsibility and whatever else your programming tells you. But most people are afraid of being wealthy. Most people don't have the courage or to do what it takes to become wealthy. Or they do have the courage, they're just afraid to admit it. They're afraid to step into it. And most people, given the freedom, don't know what to do with it. And most people would prefer to be told what to do with it. So it takes a strong heart to step into the wealthy and wild, the wealthiest, wildest, most free version of themselves. But I believe that you're there. Everybody has it within them. So with that, I'm going to encourage you to, whenever you're listening to this, to go out there and be you unapologetically. And if it calls to you to join Wealthy, Wild, and Free with me, we begin at the end of July, and you can find more information in the description below. But if it calls to you, come and join me, and I will help you overcome your money shit, make a new, loving, nurturing relationship with money, one where you are not afraid to be wealthy and you are expressing your wild and free side. and it's going to be amazing. But whatever, just go and be the fullest version of you. Go and step into the fullest expression of who you are and show it to the world. Show her to the world unapologetically. I hope that this has in some way been helpful for you and that you have enjoyed listening to this. If you have, please share it with a friend. Like, follow, subscribe, do your thing. Leave a comment with your biggest insight and takeaway. And I will see you again next week.